Okay, well, hopefully we can overcome all the technical issues that we've been working with, and we'll have a decent event tonight. Um, I see some people are joining. Jacob, good to have you here. Audio quality is a little bit off tonight, though. Yes, it is a little bit off. Mic placement is not good tonight, unfortunately. So we'll do better next week. We did a whole bunch of changes, as you see. I'm standing in front of a standing in front of couple bookcases instead of the green screen, which hopefully will help. Also, we're working on the camera a little bit. Got a little bit of fuzziness going on with the camera, and we're not quite sure what has changed there, except that we're a little bit farther across the room with it. So I see that Lance has joined, and Sandra has joined. That's good. And Axel. Oh, yes, I saw Axel there too. So I see Jacob, Axel, Lance, Sandra, and now Chelsea. Very good. Very good. To you early joiners, last week was pretty challenging. Last week was I was just not at all well. And I totally forgot to tell you folks that I wasn't going to be able to join, unfortunately, until time had come, and I was reminded that I should tell the class that I wasn't going to be there. So my apologies for the late notice. I'm much more well today, and that's good. And so I'm glad to be here. Got a good lineup tonight, and so without any further ado, I do like to start on time. So let's go ahead and launch into our first topic today. The first three articles are going to be about articles that I saw in the posts for current events articles today. Three that kind of tickled my funny bone and made me want to shout, scream, basically wonder why some people are writing articles that they don't know much about. So let's carry it on from there with that kind of an introduction. Hopefully that'll help you know where I'm going with these things. Now, the first one up is the Dogecoin pyramid scheme. Yes, it's of course a pyramid scheme. Elon Musk, of course, must have been promoting it and having underlings of his buy 2 or 3, and then their underlings bought 2 or 3 or 4, and of course with everybody buying below, he was going to get rich because everybody bought Dogecoin. Well, that's what a pyramid scheme's all about. Obviously, that's not at all what Dogecoin is. In fact, Dogecoin has a history, and that history, oddly enough, is simply that it was a joke coin to begin with. There are no viable projects built on it. There are no projects planned. There's no real current development going on. It is literally a joke coin. And so with a joke coin, you know, Elon Musk has a sense of humor if you hadn't figured that out yet. He loves Dogecoin because it's a joke. And when he talks about Dogecoin and talks about taking it as payment, sure, he's certainly going to try to take it as payment. In fact, he did. But he's, you know, with every cryptocurrency now, with it being so volatile, it's hard to take cryptocurrency as a payment, noting that, you know, the day afterwards it could plummet in price, and all of a sudden you've taken in, you know, $70,000 or $80,000 on the price of one of his vehicles, and you find that the Dogecoin is then worth the next day only 50 or 60. You know, that's the challenge with taking Doge or any cryptocurrency as a method of payment right now until it gets more stable. So what the lawsuit is trying to say is that Elon Musk was in a also a pump and dump scheme, where of course he wants to pump up the price of the Dogecoin so that he can just sell it off. Well, they have to, go to court and prove the facts that he did in fact want to pump up the price just so he can make a bunch of money and sell it off. And frankly, he could probably get a few contracts for launching his rockets, or send a few people into space and make a whole lot more money than he ever would by doing that kind of a scheme. So there's really not much motivation to do that. So whoever wants to sue him for this, I think, is just a gold digger and deciding that they want to see throw some mud up on the wall and see if any of it sticks, and see if they can get some money coming their direction. Generally, Elon Musk doesn't tolerate that kind of thing. He'll fight it because of his principles more than anything. He has enough money to fight it, and the people that are in this class action lawsuit probably don't have as deep of pockets as Elon, and probably doesn't have the lineup of lawyers that Elon has. So frankly, we'll see where that goes, even if we even get another news article that talks about it. So that's the comment on Dogecoin. It was interesting. I can't remember exactly who posted it, but it was interesting. Thanks for posting it. Nice discussion. It's probably going to go absolutely nowhere. All right, now we get to talk about Motley Fool. Motley Fool made a fool of themselves in this article. So let me find where it is. I believe it's that. No, it's not that one. Is it this one? Okay, let's see if I can get... Is that the Motley Fool article? Nope. Oh, it's in... I'll bet you it's in that one. Nope, it's not in that one either. Where did I put my Motley Fool article, Robert? Oh, there's nobody named Robert on this phone, on this call. Let me see if I can find my Motley Fool article. There it is. Oh, it's one of my Word documents. It's got to be one of these two. No? No? Oh, yes. There it is. I didn't recognize it when I first put it up there. Adam Levy, he ought to stick to investments. Learn about the 5 problems and adoption challenges that face blockchain technology today. Well, he needs to stick to, like I say, stick to finance, because he mixes his terminology a lot in this article. The basic thing with this article is that he's trying to say that business will never be able to employ blockchain because Bitcoin is so slow. Okay. Everyone that has been with my channel for any length of time and looked at any of those videos, I'm sure has seen the fact that businesses won't be using the Bitcoin network to deploy their blockchains. Period. So here we say over here, he says, the fact that a copy of a blockchain is typically held on multiple computers creates a scalability problem as the blockchain grows larger. That's just one of the many challenges facing blockchain technology and the developers working to develop enterprise solution. Okay, so there's his thesis statement. He's going to show you how bad blockchain is going to be for developing enterprise solutions, and let's see what he links his information to. So first off, I think he talks about scalability next. So let's go down here to scalability. Big public blockchains such as Bitcoin and Ethereum, the scaling issue can translate into nodes demanding higher transaction fees to process transactions on the blockchain. They need to see an adequate return on investment into computing resources. What does Bitcoin and Ethereum have to do with creating an enterprise blockchain? Absolutely nothing. Okay? he doesn't know what he's talking about. For example, when we look at Maersk and their implementation of TradeLens, did they use Ethereum or Bitcoin? Absolutely not. Did they use a proof of work consensus method? Absolutely not. The problem is here, he goes into his next thing saying, we'll come back to that, scaling issue, by the time we get to the end, because he comes and backs and addresses it again. He says, blockchains that use proof of work systems to determine which node wins the right to confirm the next block on the chain can become extremely energy intensive. So, okay, he's saying these enterprise blockchain initiatives are going to use proof of work, and using proof of work, it's going to use a lot of energy, and these businesses aren't going to be able to afford it, and because they can't afford it, how can they get any return on investment? Hooey! We've talked in previous videos about different consensus methods that can be used. Now, most consensus methods that are discussed in the public domain refer to cryptocurrencies. The consensus methods that are built into private blockchains that are used by such blockchains as the TradeLens blockchain or the Food Trust blockchain that Walmart and Golden State Foods use, those blockchains are not going to use proof of work. They're not going to waste the resources. They already know the people that are in their blockchain. They've already validated them. They are already trusted members of the blockchain, whether they're running a full node and processing transactions, or whether they're just transactional nodes that just use the reports and data, such as customs officials in the various ports of call in the TradeLens blockchain. So you can see that he's falling into this trap of thinking he knows about blockchain because he invests in Ethereum and Bitcoin, and he makes even more of a motley fool of himself as time goes on. So let's see. Speed. Oh gosh, Bitcoin is so doggone slow, can't possibly be used for an enterprise. You're absolutely right. And that's why they would never ever use it in an enterprise. And you made a motley fool of yourself again. Oh, there's no universal standards. Okay, first, it makes interoperability between blockchains difficult. If one company wants to share data with another company's blockchain, which would never happen, they'll likely need to develop additional tools to allow for data flow between the two blockchains. Okay, why? One of the core principles of building a blockchain for an enterprise is the fact that you're going to have to build tools so that you can take data from the blockchain that you're building for yourself and link it up with your accounting system, and link it up with your supply chain system, and link it up with all the information systems that you have within your business, while you're using the blockchain to manage everything that's happening external to your business, such as your supply chain, such as the flow of information if you're carrying cargo across the oceans or buying food from a California distributor and need that information. You're not going to have multiple blockchains. You're going to just have to connect your data streams, your information systems to the blockchain. So that is a whole, forget that nonsense. Privacy, okay. Blockchain was designed to be publicly distributed, but not when you're doing it for the enterprise. If he knew what he was talking about, he wouldn't make such a motley fool of himself. A private blockchain is one way for a business to implement blockchain technology without the fear of leaking any information to the public. Oh, but it has its disadvantages. Since a private blockchain has an authority that delegates who can and cannot participate, it's truly not decentralized. That can reduce trust from the public in a blockchain-based product. That paragraph doesn't even make sense. Come on, folks. What in the world is he trying to talk about? Okay, so let's get into the future here. It says, ultimately, blockchain promises to improve the speed and security of many processes involving the transfer and storage of data, and I'll go ahead and add for him. But if you believe all the hooey that I just told you about, it'll really never happen. You shouldn't even consider blockchain because it's just stupid. Well, Adam Levy, go back to Motley Fool, please. And please worry about investment advice and try to not worry about how IBM is writing the best blockchains in the world for companies like Maersk and Walmart and Golden State Foods, and just, stick to what you have expertise in, because obviously this article is absolutely funny. It's just, I'm sorry, I had too much fun with that one. It's just good. So whoever posted this one, thanks for the sense of humor that you have, and for the wonderful chance you had for me to get all excited about something that was just funny. Thanks. Okay, let's see. What's the next one that we're going to go for? Tamagotchi. I always thought that name was funny. I really did. Tamagotchi, that's in this one. And yes, there it is. The Dragon Federation is the Tamagotchi of the future. I got to tell you the story. I sat down with my oldest son today to get some information about this one, because this one was kind of funny because I grew up through it. I was a parent of a fifth grader about the time that Tamagotchis became really, really popular. And Tamagotchis came on these little devices, and this little device lets you take care of your Tamagotchi pet. And the problem is it was challenging to keep the pet alive. And it just became the craze over a period of time. And those pets got to be so crazy that kids had so many of them that they would bring them to school with them. And in my son's fifth grade class, he said that the teacher basically had a Tamagotchi box. And at the beginning of class, everybody was supposed to put their Tamagotchis in the box so that they wouldn't play with them during class time. And then they had a designated person that would go to the Tamagotchi box, pick each one of them up and feed the pets, and then put them all back, and then they'd go about their business for the day. And at the end of the day, everybody came, picked up their Tamagotchis, and went on home. I mean, it was really, really the craze. They were... For the kids, it was a lot of fun. For the parents, it kept your kids entertained, I guess. It was a kind of a little electronic game that kept them entertained, and a lot of them really, really enjoyed it. So the idea that this Utah company pictured here, is going to put together another Tamagotchi version and have it in VR, the VR virtual reality headset. That could be kind of cool. There might be a whole lot more of at least the cardboard headsets that use the regular cell phones, use a smartphone as a 3D sort of virtual reality viewer, so that they don't have to buy the really expensive ones that are fully integrated with sound and all that wonderful stuff. But we'll see. We'll see if it takes off and goes. Gaming is catching the interest of people and driving technology forward. And I've seen technology be driven forward for video cards, for computers, for gaming consoles. As it gets more complicated, it drives this technology forward because everybody is looking for that latest and greatest machine to run their latest and greatest games, which are getting more and more sophisticated, so the hardware has to become more and more sophisticated. So in the case of Tamagotchi, I mean, we're literally talking 1997, it was introduced in the United States. So we're literally talking about 25-year-old technology that has the potential of coming back, similar to the way that the Pokemon craze took over, the Pokemon on the smartphone gaming that took over a decade or so ago. So, it could be an interesting resurgence of an old-time favorite. And there will be a lot of adults today that will remember having a Tamagotchi when they were a kid and look forward to potentially playing around with it a little bit and introducing their kids to it. So more power to them. I hope we hear again about the Dragon Federation and how far they get with the concept. It definitely will be interesting. Okay. Now, let's go look at a game called Upland. Upland is a blockchain game that is played on a map. And you can see here, the map here, it looks a lot like a Google map. And so we're into my account here. In fact, my little motorcycle is right here, tooling around the property here. Over here, I have 9 properties that I have, purchased during the course of the game. And what happens is I will go ahead and zoom in here, and you'll be able to see I bought in this one particular neighborhood just so I could cluster them together. So I've got 3 that are fairly close here. And so when you zoom in far enough, you get to these spaces that are properties within this being the Kansas City area. If I were to log off, you'll find that when this game first started, in fact, when I first became aware of it and created an account, and really it didn't go anywhere because all they had open was San Francisco, and I could care less about San Francisco. And so I found no interest in it at all. But when I came back to it, probably 2 months ago or so, they had opened several other cities, including Chicago and Kansas City and Seattle, and of course I think they've got LA open now. They've got Las Vegas open. So what they've done is they've taken the map here and actually plotted out all of these properties on the map. And when you buy a property here, and notice I've got 4,609 what they call UPX, or Upland Exchange coins. You buy these properties with these coins. Now, 4,600 isn't enough for me to buy a property, but I will go ahead and double click on this property so that I can see this is on 138 North Belmont Boulevard. It's interesting because you can actually get a street view, and there's the property. So what they've done is literally taken Google Maps. They've integrated their game right on top of Google Maps, created these property lines that are in sync with the property lines that are actually in the neighborhoods. And in fact, here's the arrow here. You can tell that this is the Google Street View, right? Okay. And I can look around here and see that these are, side-by-side properties, pretty dense area. Okay. And so I can see and I can play with that, and I can kind of reminisce about the idea that I own a token that says that is my property in a game that doesn't really mean anything, but it is an NFT that says that in this game I own that property. Okay. I do have other properties, of course, and as I go here, I have these 3 properties that are clustered together, and so I play around with investing in these, and I bought them on the cheap. In fact, I was looking for properties that were under 15,000 UPX, and as I bought them under 15,000 UPX, I have them all for sale at 25. And 25 is really about the price that you're looking at. If I were to click on this one here, for example, it tells me the property size, but it doesn't look like it's for sale, so it doesn't have a price on it. So let's look at this. The FSA is the one that's for beginners, and I can't see a price on this one either. That's interesting. Generally, you find prices on these really easy. Property size, UPX value. Property is owned, but it's not for sale. Okay, the green ones are the ones for sale. What am I thinking? Okay, they want 103,000 for this. And if I close that, this property right here is my property, and I have it for sale for 25. Now, if somebody was buying in that area, I'm going to make a good 10,000 UPX on this one, so I'm satisfied that that's okay. In time, I'll go ahead and look at the other properties around and maybe see if that property is a candidate to raise the price. Actually, with the markets crashing out there, I'd probably have to lower the price if this is anything close to reality, but it's probably not. Anyway, that's another subject for my economics channel. So this is what Upland is all about. Now, all of this is on the blockchain. And you'll notice this ticker here. In 33 minutes, I can collect more. I can collect money that is basically rents or gratuities or whatever. My property is actually generating income. Now, if you go buy a property in any town now and just let it sit, it's not going to earn money for you unless you rent it out or something. So in that way, this game isn't totally realistic. But when you own coins on a blockchain, generally it's staked coins, and that's the way this is behaving, is more like staked coins. And by buying a property, I have a token that identifies the property, but also the coins that I've put into that property are staked. So I earn money based on the staking of those coins on the blockchain. So it's more of a proof of stake blockchain that's underneath this. And so in 32 minutes, I'll get some coin and be able to progress. Now, there's several things I can do here. If I go click on this here, I have what they call collections. And I put together a bunch of these collections today. So by putting together a collection, you get a bonus. So this collection I put together, collected the bonus, and then I decided to go do a different collection. And by doing a different collection, I was able to get a different bonus. Now, this one is still active. I've got one property obligated to this. It's a bonus that you get just by buying your first property. So you get, I think it was about 250. If I were to buy 3 properties in Shoal Creek, for example, I would get 850. And I'd have a 1.3 times boost on my earnings. So this one that's active, I get a 1.3 times boost, and I already collected the king of the street. In other words, I had 3 properties on the same street. Remember that one icon that had a 3 in it, and I zoomed in, and they were all in the same block? That's what achieved the king of the street one here. And then I guess I got a little overzealous, and I started creating a bunch of collections, and then I created this collection, and it says you gotta wait a week before you can collect this one. Okay, fine. I'll wait a week to get the 1,200, and then I believe the bonus is already started for that one. But then I can go look at these other places and see if I can buy 3 properties in Blue Hills or on Charlotte Street or on Meadowbrook Heights and get these bigger bonuses as I grow and as my properties mature and as I get more cash. Now, you can buy into this. For every $1, it gives you 1,000 UPX. So, if you spend $10, you get 5,000. If you spend $10, you get 10,000 UPX. Okay, so a lot of times people will get started by putting in $5 or $10 just to get their first 2 or 3 properties. And that is, in fact, what I did, is I put a little bit of cash in here in order to get started so I could show you guys what it's all about. But this is the kind of gaming thing. Now, this is the kind of game that I enjoy. A lot of people will enjoy those first-person shooters and those games where they're a lot more interactive. I just happen to like the ones that are more like simulators, and this is kind of a real estate simulator, and I'll play around with this for a while and slowly build things up. And it's passive enough that all I have to do is kind of check in once a day to see what's going on, collect the coins that have built up for the night, through the night and into the next day, and then I can go forward with it day by day that way. So that is that right there. And what else did I want to show you? Well, that's about it. Probably I'll give you an update once I learn a bit more as the game progresses, because there's all kinds of events that you can do. And each of the events allows you to go to different places and look for treasure and get more things to do. There is a social aspect of it that allows you to converse with other people and negotiate and work with other people to build up places and build up, areas of the town and that sort of thing. I haven't gotten involved in that aspect of it yet. I prefer to just kind of sit back and to more play on my own, but that's kind of my preference. So anyway, so that's what this game is about. And so that is Upland. Now, let's go to an article. Let me minimize this. Whoops. Okay. And we don't need Tamagotchi anymore. And that's done. Okay, the next. Why do you play games? By the way, Danielle joined us and Harold joined us since Dustin. I mentioned Dustin, so Harold and Danielle, I know you're there. That's good. By the way, if you have any questions, Jan Severin over there is insulting my mustache. I don't know. Maybe I let it go too long or something. I don't know. But if you have any questions, please be sure to ask them in the chat. We'll address them, and we'll go forward. So why does gaming appeal to people? I notice a lot of you, at least in the class that I teach at Lindenwood here, are interested in gaming enough that three of you posted articles about gaming and blockchain in this last current events. And so, what attracts people and the appeal is almost made for blockchain in a way, because you generally play games to acquire wealth in the game. And in order to acquire wealth in the game, you play the game certain ways, and you learn to master certain things. And as you master those things, you move forward and acquire more and more things. Your character gets stronger. It can do more things. It moves up the levels, and it becomes appealing and almost, well, not almost, but many times it's addicting to be able to do this. So this particular article talks about how the gaming industry kind of plays on the idea of gaming to actually get you involved in the game and experience a level of pleasure that keeps you coming back to the game. So the first example they want to use is that you play games not just to play inside the game. A lot of times you play games so that you can converse with friends about the game, or share what you've done, share what they've done, and back and forth, and have a chance to have something in common with people. Sports is very much the same way. When you have a favorite sports team and you like to talk to your friends about how your favorite sports team and hopefully their favorite sports team are doing during the season. So sports is very much the same way. So in the 1970s, this phenomenon really got started with a game called Dungeons and Dragons. And Dungeons and Dragons is a fantasy game that you play, and the dungeon master will give you scenarios, and your characters have certain strengths and certain weaknesses, and you usually play in a group, and it becomes a very social thing to do, to get together with your friends to play together and then talk about it afterwards, and then get together to continue a lot of times the same dungeon with the same characters and with the same places on the board, or you move from city to city on the board. So another thing, they also relate that to the Netflix series Stranger Things. If you've ever gotten involved in Stranger Things, it's a very complex plot. It's really amazing the twists and turns that plot has taken, what's really going on underneath the city of it begins with an H, but I can't remember it at the moment. But that series is just a wonderful series, and so don't spoil the end of the next season. So, okay, so as Dungeons and Dragons finishes their session and the dungeon master's done with you, and he's either killed off your character or you've triumphed and killed the monster that the dungeon master is sending at you, a lot of times you and your friends will talk about that for days on end until you get back together again to do another round. So with that as a backdrop, Hawkins. Yes, Hawkins is the name of the city. Appreciate that, Jan Severin. Okay, so now there's a couple other games. Now I showed you the game Upland and showed you how that one works. Well, the next one listed here is Decentraland. I have gone in and played that. It requires you to create a wallet that you attach, and if you want to buy the currency in-game, which is the mana, if you want to buy their in-game currency so you can buy things while you're in the game, you can then buy it in your wallet, and it's within the game. That's what happens is you buy it in the game and then it gets stored in your wallet. And so you actually keep it, and your wallet is actually detached from the game. You connect it to the game in order to put your currencies in it. But for all intents and purposes, when you're out of the game, it's a separate wallet. So in that way, they've extended the idea of gameplay to the idea that you can play in game, but your loot and the things that you acquire in the game are yours permanently to keep. It's kind of like a lot of the retirement funds that built up during the 50s and 60s, where you had pensions and you stayed with the company a long time because they held your pension, and as long as you stayed there, the pension would keep growing and you'd get more when you retired. Well, eventually people started moving around companies too much, and the idea of having a pension at one company went by the wayside. Now you have a 401k that's usually portable. You take it with you to the next job and keep adding to it at the next job. The same is true with gaming here. In your game of Dungeons and Dragons, you had your paper where all of your stats and all of your wealth was kept in paper format. Well, what they've done is they've taken that paper format and allowed you to have it in an electronic or digital wallet. So Decentraland plays like that, in the respect that your wallet is attached and you keep your NFTs, tokens, and other real estate that you buy in the game. You keep all of that, and it's kept as mana in your wallet. Okay, so moving on from there, they come back here to the Pokemon idea here. So in Pokemon, players fight and capture monsters called Pokemon. They become stronger. Aside from there being hundreds of species of Pokemon to catch, each creature is wholly unique, coming with its own randomized stats, personalities, and information. Basically, the game Pokemon, really, you acquired unique items, a lot like what NFTs are trying to do today. So with that idea, it's not too big of a stretch to be able to have a blockchain that would permanently capture and keep your information, and you could come back to it anytime you wanted to. Nothing was so frustrating in those early digital games where you would go back to the game, and because you hadn't been in the game in forever, all your loot was gone and you had to start over, or you lost your password or something and you weren't able to get back in the game and have your stuff or begin where you left off. So it's not hard to conceive of the idea of having a blockchain behind it and keeping your stuff. So Axie Infinity is another one of those types of games where you keep your unique characters and your unique loot and keep it in a wallet similar to the Decentraland as well. Okay. Now, come to a thing called Exchange Monster. Just like all the games in the world out in, mobile land or desktop, there are applications that help you build those games. There is now an application called Exchange Monster. And Exchange Monster allows you to build games in a platform called MXCH, Monster Exchange, okay, or Exchange Monster. And it allows you then to keep their in-game currency in the wallet and exchange it for MXCH. And developers now can use this platform to develop games. And I'll just watch for a while. This was probably the first of several iterations of different types of gaming applications where you can build games and distribute them that will allow you to begin making money on the mobile platform and on the desktop platform, and then connect it to the MXCH blockchain. And by doing that, you have a ready platform to build your games. You don't have to build the blockchain underneath at the same time as building the game itself. So having a platform helps you to move that forward and work with that. So I will go ahead and I will post all these articles to the class. Notice that at the bottom here you have all these Exchange Monster locations where you can go and find out about this platform. And if you really like game development, this might be something to play with after you graduate, or if you've got some time during taking your classes, you can always go look at it some more. But it could be very interesting to play around with it and see where it can go from there. So I'm done with all my topics. Okay. Now I got that out of me. Questions, please. Anybody with questions? And my high quality mustache. Sometimes waiting through the delay is pretty challenging. Because I know after a while you do eventually see or hear me ask for questions. But sometimes it takes a while. Any questions at all? How do you like my bookshelves? I just have to fix them so I'm not so sparkly. Make it look a little bit better. Are you saying we should play games to save for retirement? No, only I do that. You smart aleck. Okay. All right, quiet group today. No questions about your assignments, no questions about the grades I've given. I did catch up on grading today after the disastrous week last week. So I'm actually doing pretty good for this time of the class. Only having one class helps. Usually I'm a little behind her by now. Or more behind if I talk to like a doctor. So, all right. Well, hey everybody. I appreciate the time you spent with me. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody again next week. See you later.